Mandy is ready to rock this morning. I know she's super excited. So how's it going, Mandy?
Yeah, really, really well. You won't believe it, Etienne. We have autumn here in Australia, and it's 30 degrees here in Melbourne and 40 degrees in Sydney. So I don't know what's going on in this world. Yes,
Love
my
it.
weather
Weather
report.
report. Right on time.
Yep.
Exactly. So we're gonna do this quickly now. Weather report to every single morning or whatever. We'll do it. I forget. But yeah, we'll get started really, really fast. And I know we have a lot of content to cover today. Something I'm really excited about, and a topic that I kind of like to talk about anyway. So I'm really excited for this, and you guys can tell. But if you wanna, please share this with your friend. If you wanna like just hit the share button, because we wanna have more people here, and I think these tactics can help pretty much everyone with time management. So hit the share button, and we'll make sure to have more people, more value for more people, and that's always awesome. So make sure you share on Facebook, Twitter if you want, and that way you can gather more people who are kind of like-minded and want to learn, and that's going to be just an awesome life for sure.
So
Great.
maybe before we get
Yeah.
started, I do my little disclaimer. Is that all
Sure.
right?
Go ahead. Sure. Sure.
Okay. And disclaimer. So I hope everyone can see my disclaimer, and I will have to read it to you. So I will read it in my best lullaby voice so you fall asleep. No, don't fall asleep, okay? All right. Trading involves the risk of loss. This presentation is for educational purposes only and should not be solely relied upon as a recommendation or invitation to enter into a particular transaction or to apply a particular trading strategy. It is also not intended to be a substitute for professional counseling, therapy, or medical treatment, nor is it intended to diagnose or treat any psychological condition. I am a trained coach and not a qualified counselor, psychologist, or psychiatrist, and neither is Etienne. You should not engage in trading unless you understand the nature of the relevant markets, the rules and application of these rules to the strategy or strategies you are trading, the products, and the full extent of your exposure to risk of financial loss. The information contained in this presentation has been prepared without taking account the objectives, financial situations, or needs of any particular trader here who's on our webinar. And because of that, the attendee should, before acting on any information, consider the appropriateness of the information, having regard to their own personal objectives, financial situation, and needs, and must seek professional advice. By attending this presentation, you do so at your own will, and in doing so, waive liability to any claims against the host, presenter, and any associated organizations and people. And that's Etienne and myself and our respective companies. So, yeah, you made it through. Thank you for listening.
Perfect. Perfect. And if you guys are joining us live, just comment again in the chat. We want to make sure we interact with you. And as we always say, the best lives that we do are the ones who are the ones where people participate and ask questions and post comment, and that's always awesome. And yeah, and to begin, we got a good nap during the disclaimer, which is awesome. Good job. Scott, welcome. Awesome.
Hello,
We're gonna,
Scott. We missed you last week, Scott. Just
yeah,
saying.
awesome. So here's the kind of idea today behind the live, and this is a comment or email I get a lot. People who ask to master forex trading or ask to master trading, and I thought about it a little bit. At first, I said like it's impossible to master trading, and I think it will never be possible. I think the way to get as close as possible to mastering trading or mastering forex is to learn how to manage your time. Because like when you start to manage your time, you can start to get things done. And the only way you achieve full-time trading or whatever level of trading you want to reach, whether it's going to be like professional trading or whatever, is to manage your time properly and to do the things that you have to do on a daily basis. So that's kind of the idea behind the live today. And also because I get a lot of comments of people who say, well, I would love to be able to trade full time, or I would love to be able to work on my backtesting, work on this and that, but I have a job and I'm busy. I cannot do it. It's impossible. Well, you would be surprised how many people and how much people get done, even when they have like full time job, even when they run like 5 companies or 10 companies, and they do these and they do everything, but they still get everything done. And so why is that? It's because they learn to manage their time. And I know Mendy, you also love that topic. You've been like a big fan of planning recently, and so maybe share people about that a little bit more. What do you do on a daily basis to prepare yourself and to plan?
I really find it interesting, Scott. Thank you for your comment. I couldn't work out the time, and I totally get that because we are in the middle of daylight savings shifting around. So I know the US changed in on the 11th, and Germany is going to change on the 25th, and we are going to change on the 1st of April. So there's like 3 different time zones we need to juggle. And I can also tell you, I have traders from all across the world that I work with, and it's constantly like, what time is it there? What time is it here? Taking into consideration the time zones. So how did I know, like within 1 minute, when which country or which continent is changing their time zone? Well, I've got it here on my fabulous big planner. I make my life easy. I prepare myself. I plan, and I know that daylight saving is coming up. I know it has tripped me off in the past, and I also know that is one of the major downfalls of traders who have EAs, because they forget to change the time setting, and the EA starts too early or too late, and then they lose a lot of money, right? Maybe NTV Games, he can relate to that, because I know you're working with EAs. So what I found is, rather than trying to figure out things, we can prepare ourselves in advance, because we kind of know what is happening in advance. And every time there is a time consideration, let's look at what's underneath the time consideration. You guys know by now that everything that we talk about, which is discipline, which is patience, which is lack of time, lack of money, no friends, hanging on to losing trades, all these problems are the superficial problems. They are what I call the safe problems. What we need to do is we need to look at underneath what's causing those problems, what's at the cause of those problems. And hence, the story of my poor little lemon tree who is still not recovering, right? Because I haven't gotten to the root cause of the problem of my lemon tree. Now, what is underneath time? Often it's overwhelm. And what is underneath overwhelm? Well, often, so there's many, many different frameworks that are underneath overwhelm. I only will cover one, Etienne, because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, we could talk about that for
Um,
like hours, and me too. I'm super excited about the topic. So no problem.
Exactly. So let's just choose one. So when we look at what people are naturally doing well, so we have about 4 different types of people. We have the visionaries, they're big picture, and they can foresee the future. Then we have the ones who are they're great planners. They're the guys who are really great analysts, but they suck at trading because they never get to press the button. Then we have the ones who are the doers, right? They're the ones who do, press the mouse button, get into trades in and out, but they don't do the preparation that the analysts do. And then we have the guys who are really good with people. They hated trading alone from home because they love people. They want to be around people. And Etienne, you and I, we fall in this category as well, apart from the other 3 categories. And so we have found a way to solve that for ourselves, right? We train. That's how we hang out. You and I, we hang out a lot as well. So we satisfy this need to be around people. Now to
So
go back. Mhm.
just to clarify this, can we be into different categories, or because I guess we have like different score on different categories, and some higher, some lower, right?
Exactly. So we all have a natural category that we are extremely good at. Um, so I'm extremely good at the doing, right? I'm a doer, I'm a dynamo. And I'm just working with a guy, he's a visionary. He can foresee the future 10 years. Like he knows, he's like, today the market's going to go blah. And it's like, wow, how do you know? And he's like, I don't know, I just know, right? He's got this incredible brain, and he thinks multidimensional, and it's just incredible. But his weakness is in other areas, right? So we all have to find out what is our inherent strength. And then, so I know I'm really good at doing, but my weakness is the planning phase, right? So what do? I train myself on planning. So people like myself would easily get into overwhelm because I'm just doing, but I'm not focusing my doing on what is required right now. And so right now, it's most important for me to do A, but I do B because I haven't thought about where does B fit into my big plan to move forward in my trading journey. And this is how overwhelm happens, where traders spend hours and waste hours on staring at the market, learning a new strategy, hanging out in forums or on Twitter. But is that progressing them towards their end goal of full-time trading? And I would say no, because they haven't done the foundational work of what are the categories of my trading business? What is it that I need to improve right now? So sometimes we need to work on our vision, on our trading mindset. Sometimes we need to work on our planning because the markets have changed, life has changed, and you need to change every time you skip countries, right? Um, and then sometimes when we have done the planning, we need to go into the doing thing, right? We need to do. There's only so much planning you can do, and then you need to apply. Um, and then, whom can I work with? Whom can I learn from today? So that's the fourth category. Can you see how when you start structuring your mind, structuring your life in such a way that time is not an issue anymore? And whom did I learn that from? Tony Robbins, because Tony Robbins runs like 36 companies. He flies all around the world running events like crazy. And how can he do that? Because he's so super organized, and he's got an amazing team around him who he has very high standards for. And every time I go into overwhelm, it's like, I can't do it. I'm like, yeah, but Tony Robbins does it. So what can I improve? How can I automate myself, my process more, so that I can do it all because I want to do it all, because I choose to.
Yeah, yeah, love it.
Mm.
And before I forget, guys, I prepared a complete guide that's for free. It's gonna be, you can grab it down below with the link. And this is like something I spent the whole night preparing on, how I plan my time, what I do on a daily basis, what I schedule, all these different buckets, these different categories of time to spend on. That's crucial if you want to be able to develop your trading. So that's gonna be to grab below. And like truth is, we all have the same 24 hours. And like I'm always amazed when I think about the fact that, like you said, Tony Robbins or Steve Jobs, they ran like two companies or more at the same time and did different things. They had speaking engagement, they have a family, they have all these things to take care of, but they still managed to get everything done, which is fantastic. And you were just telling me before the call that you have like a lot going on right now, but you said something pretty cool, which is it's all right. I'll get it done, and that's no problem. So how do we get to that point of like being overwhelmed to getting everything done, to planning everything? And I know the answer for me, but you might have a different answer. So let me ask you first.
So what is overwhelm? Overwhelm is when we have a feeling and thinking at the same time. So we feel, we think, collapse. So overwhelm leads to procrastination. We think, I need to write this training program, and then feeling overwhelmed, whoop, and then I give up, like the donkeys who are like giving up. And that's then how I want to feel, right? So what is missing? What is missing for me is then the logical. So I have the feeling, thinking, collapse. And I need to add a logical component to that because that's missing. My feeling is so strong that my brain stops. It's like blank. And what I then do is I say, what is one little thing? What is the very first thing that I can do right now to get the process going? And so very often visionary, big picture people go into overwhelm because they don't look at the detail. And I'm visionary and big picture. So I, knowing that this is my weakness, I now can improve that, increase that, right? And go into detail and say, what can I do right now though? And so, Etienne, you reminded me that I have to write a what's it called? An assessment for our training that we are running currently for session 6. I'm like, oh, another thing to add to my list. No. And so overwhelm kicks in immediately. What did I do? I grabbed my diary and I scheduled it. I wrote it down. So now I know it's being taken care of, and I can schedule it when we get off the call and when to do it. So before it was not on my important list because like it's session 6 and session 6 was still far away. But now session 6 is coming closer. So now this becomes more important, right? And this is something I'm going to do straight away today because I know you need it, so you can do the little changes on it.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, when you feel overwhelmed or you procrastinate, very often you have a feeling, a thinking, you go big picture, What is one little tiny detail that you can start with? What's the first step? And then you feel a sense of relief, a sense of certainty, a sense of having control over that thing.
Yeah, and I think oftentimes the first step is going to be schedule everything. Like I'm amazed when people they tell me they have like to do list of like 200 things that they have to do. Like backtest my system, test my take profit, research this indicator, do that and that and that. But this is very easy to feel like bad, to feel overwhelmed because you have like all these things to do. But if instead you go with a schedule and like you schedule things one at a time, that could be the first step. You schedule everything. And like one mistake I made in the past is that I would schedule everything, but I would like cram my schedule with like all these things to do, and then that would be like the worst schedule ever. But if you schedule things like what you're gonna do and including some free time and stuff and things you like, it makes it more manageable. And
Mm.
maybe you'll get done everything you have to do in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But at least everything is scheduled and you don't have to think about all these 500 things to do in the next 2 days. Like they're all scheduled somewhere. And you can just focus on what to do now to move toward your goal. And I think that makes it much faster. And that's what is included in the guide I created last night.
And that's really interesting what you're saying, Etienne, because this is what we do. That you get arrested
Yeah.
for being 11. You're so funny in TV games. This is what we do. Like we set ourselves up for failure, right? Writing down 200 things and then not working with it. That's again leading into overwhelm. It triggers our not being enough, not being good enough. I want to achieve this, but I keep stuffing it up. So this is again looking at how can you set yourself up for success. Yes, there are 200 things to do. Take those 200 things, put them into categories. And you mentioned another really important point. You said, health and fun. So
Yeah.
take those 200 things and put them into the wheel of life, which is, the wheel of life is everything, every area of your life that you need to take care of in order to be a fully functioning, healthy, happy person. And that is, taking care of your family. So connecting with your family, connecting with your friends, taking care of your health. So doing sports. And I know that I get really engrossed, right? I'm like, I do something and I forget time. And then it's like 4 hours later and it's like my back hurts and my legs hurt from sitting 4 hours. It's like, where did the 4 hours go? So I need to make sure that I manage myself to get up every half an hour or every hour and do something for my well-being. Self-care, taking care of myself, eating healthy, doing something that's fun, like going to the movies or going to the beach or meeting a friend, and then taking care of your career, taking care of your money, which is, for example, doing your tax, right? So all these area of your life, if you have them categorized, you do every day one thing around it, then the 200 things to do suddenly becomes 7 chunks, the 7 chunks of your wheel of life, and suddenly it becomes so much easier to work
Yeah. But
with.
here's something important. And Mandy mentioned the fact that like you can work and spend 4 hours on something, you don't realize the time goes by. And that's powerful. I think those are the activities you want to spend more time on because you enjoy doing them. And you can get in the flow of doing things, which is something I try to do more and more. Like sometimes I edit videos and times goes really fast. So I try to do more of that because I feel I like it. And that's better. But the other part has to do with kind of eliminating what you don't have to do because a lot of these things on the 200 item to do list, they're not necessary, they're not required, and you might be spending like wasting time on doing them, but they won't help you achieve your result. So there's a big part of like taking things you have to do, looking at everything, but removing what you don't need to do, so that you can focus on what you kind of should do and what's important for you to do. And I'm sure many you have examples of like things you've eliminated in the past and things you don't do anymore. Can you share a few of those?
Writing emails.
Yeah,
I hate writing email. Like everyone who's on my email list, they get an email from me like once in a blue moon, which we just had one in February. That's when I sent an email. Um, it's so soulless for me to write something to um, an audience that I can't connect with. I just don't do it. And I love our YouTube lives, right? So there's Ray, Noren. Hi, Ray. Haven't seen you before. Where are you from? Then we have Money Never Sleeps. Where are you from? So it's amazing. I love that, and I feel like we can contribute to so many more people than writing an email. So I don't do that simply. And I was talking to someone yesterday and about marketing, and she said, "Oh, she's building her email list. Montreal, nice, like Etienne." Um, so and I've got like I don't know 2,000 people on my email list, and she said, "Whoa, you should be a millionaire from doing email marketing." It's like, really? I don't think so because I don't care enough, and I don't like doing it, so I don't. I rather focus on my trading. So what I did in context of trading at the beginning, I manually entered all my trades manually into an Excel spreadsheet, which was a really good exercise for me to do because it was like mind opening, and I was amazed. I had to do that for tax, and I was amazed how I remember trades from like a year ago. I vividly remembered them. Now I have outsourced that as well, and have programs where I can upload my trading results and now look at the big picture. The what's it called? Um, Statistics in terms of what's it called again, Etienne? Our statistics we do performance statistics.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah. So that would be an example where I have become more efficient and more time. But to go through the initial phase of manually logging every trade was very useful
Oh
to
yeah,
the
sure.
until the point when it didn't become useful anymore.
Yeah.
Hello, Joy Bonfa. Where are you from?
And the thing is, you have to start doing everything to realize that you don't need to do everything, which is kind of a funny
Yeah.
way of saying it. But that's true. Like you have to do things, and then you realize like things are not useful, and you stop doing them at some point. Like I'm not sure for you, Mandy, but I didn't look at my Facebook feed for like years, and that's because I have like a plugin that kind of blocks it, and I kind of don't need to look at it. So that's for me kind of a waste of time to look at Facebook on a daily basis. So I don't look at it. That's simple, but it's something
Yeah.
I've done in the past for sure.
That's the thing. Yeah, Facebook, me neither. I hate Facebook. I find it really hard to maneuver myself in it. But I love Twitter. So Twitter, I actually actively am in. I've got Twitter friends, that's like my posse where I hang out with. But on Facebook not doing it either. I don't have a plugin as yet like you. So, did I mention that structure is one of my weak points? So,
Yeah. But
yeah, that's true.
you really a good example. Like people, even if they lack structure, even if they're not good naturally, and I'm not good naturally at structure. I think, and it's something I've developed over time myself.
Yeah.
But even if you're not good, you can still find ways to become better, and it takes time. But I'm kind of curious to know. So where did you start to have structure, and how did that happen?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Joyce from Melbourne as well. Isn't that glorious weather today? Just the wind is crazy, and we have fires as well. So
Melbourne,
hopefully
wonderful.
everyone. Yeah. um, we are not far from trading. Not sure what you mean, Ray. If you could elaborate on that, that would be great. So, in terms of how did I start with structure? Um, I really started with my wheel of life. So I looked at my big picture life, and because I was pretty much living in the moment, right? That's freedom was so important for me in my life, and so what
And
I
a lot
did
of
was
people live that way still. Like today, even if they want to change full time, they still live that same way. Like free, waking up when you want, doing whatever you want,
yeah.
and that just won't get result most of the
Yeah, I
time.
won't. I learned that the hard way. It doesn't get results. Um, so, and there's so many research papers now as well, how sports helps you to improve on your trading performance and nutrition and so on. And happiness is also important for trading performance. Many traders that I see that I work with, they're actually freaking unhappy. And that causes them to do stupid things in the markets. And interestingly enough, we work on the happiness project, as I would like to call it, and find ways for them to find happiness, and that automatically improves their trading behavior. They become less impulsive, less compulsive, and so on. It's just really interesting. So so I looked at the big picture, the wheel of life. So the major areas, which is health and well-being, career, business, finances, learning and growth, fun, family and friends, and contribution. And then I did the same in trading. I looked at what are the main elements of my trading life as well. So it's the personal development in my trading, it's the professional development in my trading, and it's the business developing my trading business. So personal development is working on my trading mindset, becoming more disciplined, looking at what causes my behavior. How can I improve my performance by 1% every day? Then the professional development, learning my skill, right? So improving my skill of reading the market, improving my skill of using a specific strategy. So I'm always on the hunt for traders who are doing something amazing that I don't know as yet. So I'm really not so good at options. So I'm working on options. I'm working on improving my understanding about the macro um, elements of the market. Ichimoku seems to be something interesting as well that a friend of mine, Gary Burton, uses really, really successfully. So you see, there's so many elements to my skill that I can work and improve. Even after 16 years of trading, there's always something new to learn. And then, of course, the business development, like what do I need to do in order to protect my business? Do I need to have a trust set up to protect myself? Do I need to, what do I need to do in terms of tax? How am I being taxed? How can I minimize my tax legally? What are the requirements? So I got audited once and I didn't know about the fat tax. I thought they're going to tax me for, being fat now, but it turned out it's the financial acquisition threshold tax that I didn't know about, right? And so after a certain number of transactions, you need to you can only deduct tax after a certain number of transactions. Before that, you can't, right? So I didn't know about that. And these are things that are part of your business development. Time management is business development. Your happiness level is business development, and so on. So does it make sense? So I take my life, put it into categories, and I also take my trading business, my trading, and put it into categories. And then I start working, going into more detail.
Exactly. And I do the exact same thing, and I kind of have steps on how to plan things. So, like, some things might go before the other on the schedule because they're more important and they're kind of essential. Like, I call them something non-negotiables because they're non-negotiable to do. And then you work your way through everything you have to do, and that works really fun. That's what the guide below is going to guide you through, and it's free, so you can grab it for anytime you want.
Yeah,
Cool.
well, it wasn't free for Etienne. He spent his night
Yeah,
writing it, so
yeah, but anyway, that's not a problem.
but you loved it, right?
Yeah. And that's something also I didn't see time pass. So I started to work on this at like maybe 7 p.m. And then I look at the time, it was like, whoa, 2 a.m. So, okay, finish this. Yeah,
And that's the concept of the 4-hour week from Tim Ferriss, right? So
right.
it doesn't mean that you work 4 hours a week only. It means that you do what you love doing. And I think Tim Ferriss works freaking hard. He doesn't only work 4 hours, he's like
It does
working
work
all
really hard.
around.
Yeah.
But he loves what he does, just like we do. And that's why he's extremely good at it. And hence, it's the 4 hours of things that we just need to do. Like, I don't really like doing my tax. We have to do BES every 3 months, but I do it because, I'm a responsible adult and it's part of me running my business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a non-negotiables, and that's the 4 hours in the work week.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. And I think I don't spend more than 4 hours a week for sure on things I don't love. Most of the time I spend is doing things I love. So that's a great way of seeing it. Love it. First time I hear this. And if you guys didn't read the Flower Work Week, that's kind of a book I recommend as well. So I don't
Yeah.
have a link below, but you can search this on Amazon or whatever platform you want to find it on. And that works. That's a great book for sure. Now, Mandy, I'm curious. Did that way of planning came only from yourself? Like you sat down one day, you said, okay, I have to plan my life, or I have to plan everything. Or was that inspired by someone, a mentor or a guide or whatever?
Oh yeah, most of what I know was inspired by others. I read an immense amount of books, watch videos, study others. So most of what I learned was from Tony Robbins, and he has the RPM system, the time management system. So I learned a lot from him, Tony Robbins, and then others. My mentors here, Sharon Pearson, Steve Ward, as a Tony Robbins, like so many people that are my mentors. And Tom Dante, I mentioned him a few times. I learn a lot from him in terms of structure. Um, yeah, it's like I take bits and pieces from everyone and just whatever resonates with me and I find helpful. And that really helped me um, to start organizing my life. Yeah.
Love it.
But
Love
so
it.
I take something that I learned from someone and then I implement it into my life and I take it to the next level. And so, as Tony Robbins says, I'm standing on the shoulders of others, like, Jim Rohn. I've got like 5 gig of learning modules. I've spent, I don't know how much money, I think at least $100,000 in my life on my education.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah,
that's what's needed to achieve a higher level and something
yeah,
powerful.
yeah.
Now, if you guys have any tips or any question or any tips about time management, what you do to prepare yourself, what you do to plan, to organize yourself, comment in the chat. Definitely want to hear them. And I think it's a good way for us to learn anyway. We can learn something from you and you can learn something from us, which is, I think,
Yeah.
a very powerful combination.
So, for
And
example, I
yeah, go
have
ahead.
just to add to that, I have things that I need to do, right? So,
Yeah.
as part of my professional development, I need to go to seminars. I need to get these points in order to stay qualified or certified, and so I need to do preparation for this seminar next week. Now, I wrote down in my diary every day what I do to prepare. So, and that's what it looks like, right? So every day I have one video that I train, what's it called? One strategy that I need to apply. So the overwhelm is not there. It was like
Yeah.
60 hours of preparation. And but as soon as I knew that the seminar is on, I put it into my diary and I said, all right, so I've got, I don't know, 40 days left to prepare. It's 60 hours of preparation. That means I need to do the maths, right? An hour and a half every day. That's doable. I can do that. And I don't do more. I do 2 hours a day and I don't do more because that's the problem. You want to do more than because you love what you do, right? But then we don't do the other things. So what was happening in the past, I would prepare and let's say instead of doing one webinar preparation a day, I would do two because I love the content so much. It's 3 hours. But then what that means is I had to rob Peter to feed Paul, meaning I then couldn't go for my run. But my run is really
Yeah.
important for my health, for my well-being, to get oxygen into my brain, to get my body juices going, and to take care of my back and so on. And so that's why when I do something, I schedule it, and that's all I do. I don't do more. Hmm?
Love it. And here's something I learned from, I think it was a book from Napoleon Hill. It's basically his interview with Andrew Carnegie. And it kind of expanded my mind so much because of the fact that we tend to think that we cannot combine like pleasure, sleep, and work, or like having fun, sleeping enough, so having a good night of sleep, and working. But here's the thing: we have 24 hours a day, so that's going to be 8 hours for sleep, 8 hours for work, which is 16 hours, and then the whole 8 hours for whatever you want to do else for pleasure. And so you can do like all three at the same amount. Just crazy to think about it.
I don't know, Etienne. I don't know about you, but I work more than 8 hours, you know?
Yeah, someday it's possible for sure, for sure.
Yeah. I work, I think, 15, 16 hours, but I don't sleep much. So what I do is I take nanny naps, meaning and so it will be better now when we changed our time back to 8 hours difference to Europe. I get a little bit more sleep. But what I do is I have maybe 4 hours a night, but then I have half an hour, 2 half-an-hour naps during the day. And that's all I need because I do meditation and mindfulness. And so I start with meditation in such a way that I then get a 10-minute sleep. It's really amazing, like how you can train your body. I need 10 minutes to recuperate and I'm like totally fresh. And I also start my day, I have 2 days in one day because of that. So I do I wake up in the morning to look at the US session finishing up at the moment at 7 o'clock in the morning. Then I have breakfast, I do my routines, I do my work. And then the afternoon, I have a nap. So let's say at 3 o'clock, I have a half-an-hour nap. And then I start my day over. I have coffee again. I have like a second breakfast, just something to eat. And then I work again. So I cram basically 2 days into one. And it's just all in my mind, right? It's just how I organize time in my mind. So time is the fixed, but how we organize around ourselves, around time, that's flexible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say a question in the chat I've seen recently. So Griffin is asking, do you have a car? Well, if I had to have a car, it would be like a mess. Having to carry my car in the plane and stuff when I travel, not possible. So I don't have a car, and that's impossible to have when you travel, pretty much. And you don't need it. Like most, anyway, most countries I visit, they're like so easy to navigate through, as opposed to like Canada, where it's like freaking hard to move around. But here it's like super easy. You take a subway, you get to anywhere you want in less than 30 minutes, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's about how useful is it, and having a car is really expensive now.
Also, yeah.
Here in Australia as well. So question is, do you need one? But I like what Scott said about Stephen Covey. I love Stephen Covey's work.
Oh
It
yeah.
makes so much sense, right? So anyone who has problems with organizing their time, and by the way, he was also one guy who really inspired me as well. So I got a lot of the elements that he did and applied that in my life. I can't remember what because it's such a long time ago, but yeah, really great.
Love it. I want to go a little bit into the kind of weekly planning. This is a big topic, something I'm passionate about, and every Sunday is the day I spend to plan my week. So many, what do you do to plan your week, and do you also do it the same way that I do?
Well, so how do I plan my week? I have a really clear picture, big vision of what I want to do in 5 years' time, where I want to be, how much money I want to have made, and so on. Now, I don't know what happens in 5 years' time. What I learned in life is that life is unpredictable and it always turns out differently than you thought it would. But still, I need to have like a compass. I need to know kind of where I want to go. And then between that, I need to be flexible, not to have too rigid rules. I have to have rules and standards in order to get to where I want to be. But when life throws in its spanners and its roadblocks, then I need to be flexible around that as well. So then I took the 5-year plan goal into yearly breakdowns. And so I know where I want to be by the end of this year, by the end of 2018. In Australia, the financial year, calendar year, finishes 30th of June. So now I broke my, yeah, exactly, constant is to change. Now I broke my yearly goal into a 6 months goal. So where do I want to be? Where do I need to be in 6 months' time so that I reach my yearly goal? Where do I need to be by the end of the year so that I'm at my 5-year goal? Then my 6 months goal, I broke into quarterly goals. So we coming up to the 1st of April, I do my next quarterly goals. So what do I have to do in order to achieve my 6 months goal within the next 3 months? And then my quarterly goals are broken down again into categories of what I mentioned before. And then I say, what do I need to do every week in order to get to my quarterly goal? And that, Etienne, defines what is part of my 5 next week's goals. And that is part of what do I need to do in terms of the 5 things today that I want to do in order to succeed and get to my 5-year plan. So taking that into context, you want to become a full-time trader. Let's say give yourself enough time. I know most people, they're so eager to get out of the jobs because they hate it so much that they want to be out of full-time trading within a year. But say 5 years, just take your time. And if it goes faster, then even better. And remember that it's accelerating. It takes a long time to get the foundations in, and then goes faster as you progress. So then you say, all right, so what do I have to put into place in those 5 years in order to succeed? And that's where our training comes in, Etienne, right? That we are running at the moment. What is the foundation for you to build your trading house? So you need to have a business trading plan. You need to have a trading business plan. You need to develop your skill set. You need to develop your mindset. You need to have friends. You need to have your social interactions, your health, and so on. And then you take those categories and you break them down into action steps and milestones. And those then define what you're going to do today. Did that make sense?
Yeah, love it. It's really, really powerful and really simple. And that's pretty much the same way I do it. I go through like all the things I have to do, except that I'm kind of a bigger fan of processes, not necessarily like breaking down everything, because that can be really tiring and really big and stuff. And we don't always know where you're going to be in 5 years. But I like that, like processes, things I do daily, like one video per day, or looking at these times on the chart per day, like reviewing the trade every week. Those are processes. I do them every week. And I know if I do them long enough and consistently enough, I will reach my goal, ultimately, for sure. And so that's kind of how I see it. But yeah, there's different ways of seeing it for sure. And that varies from people to people.
Yeah. Didactic fool, how long do I stay in a trade? I'm a scalper. So not long. And generally speaking, I stay in a trade very, very short period of time. But sometimes the market gives me more, and then I stay in the trade for a long time. What I'm meaning is I start out a scalp trade, but this trade keeps just collapsing. Let's say I go short, right? Because it was a nice short week 2 weeks ago. And then the trade keeps collapsing. And then I stay in because there's no reason for me to exit. And then I stay in because there's still no reason for me to exit. So very, 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 very rarely my short-term trades turn into longer-term trades. But when they do, then I stick with it. How do I know to exit my trade? Because of a certain indicator that tells me when I want to get out of the trade. So I hope that answered your question. And that is really a really important question as well in terms of planning, because I'm a scalper. So when I'm looking at the market, I look at the market when there's most activity. And so I can start managing my time. So Friday night, it was quadruple witching and there was nothing happening in the market. So I took a night off, right? It was not useful for me. But then, the night before was really moving a lot, and that's when I trade. So I can organize my time with more volition. Now, Etienne, he loves swing trading. So he organizes his time very, very differently. Yeah. So hope that answered your question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
for a day trader, 1 hour chart can be enough. But that is to analyze your trade. Now, remember, when you do that, you also need to look at your personal development, your professional development, analyzing charts in the big picture, understanding, learning more. So the trading part might be just 1 hour, but then there's all those other parts as well that you want to add to your trading day.
Yeah, yeah. And truth is, I spend much more time on the other things around trading, like as I said, developing myself, learning, reading, tracking, reviewing, than the actual chart time. And that's I think part of it. That's part of the job. Like when you sign up to trade, you sign up to do all these activities on the side, which are not trading time, but they're there to help you reach your goal. Anyway, so yeah.
I think Modi missed that Etienne is actually traveling Asia at the moment, and he's in a different country every 2 or 3 weeks. And this is where the comment came in of it is not very practical to own a car when you have to go on a plane every 2 or 3 weeks. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Love it.
um, Paladin, you're late. That's all right. Even Scotty got confused with daylight savings, and I think that's tripping up people for a while. So make sure that you put into your diary, go to forexfactory.com and put into your diary when when each country has the daylight savings time. So Europe is on the 25th of March and Australia is on the 1st of April. And then we have all changed our time already. US did the daylight savings on the 11th. Okay.
Perfect. And it's also a fact of like these YouTube videos come up and you don't really know when they come up and when they're live. So it's part of it.
Yeah.
But you can always watch a replay on the YouTube channel. It can be there forever. So you can watch it whenever you want. Even 5 times if you want. But
5 times,
up to you.
exactly.
Yeah.
Did you have a
Perfect.
specific question, Paladin, or is there something that we can help you with? Because
I think it's good if you guys have any tip on time management. Keep commenting below the video after this is live, and we'll make sure to comment and see, and maybe we can learn anything from you, and that could be awesome for sure. And you can learn from us at the same time. So grab the link below. Grab the guide below. With the link. It's totally free, and I spent the night preparing this for you guys, so you can read it. You can go through it. It's a step-by-step thing. It's gonna be really useful. And yeah, I think that's gonna be it for today, Mandy. Do you have anything to finish up with?
Well, Ray has a really good comment. I find it more hard to manage time when on a losing streak. And
Right.
I can relate to that, Ray, because what happens is, and I certainly did that at the beginning of my trading career, when you're in a losing trade, you start watching the market for hours. And, I would be up like all night trying to manage my trade, hoping it's going to turn around and hoping it's not going to go up any further or down any further, depending on if I was long or short. And so what we do is we become so stuck with that losing trade that we forget about everything else. I remember one time I was invited to a birthday party on a Friday night. I was stuck in a losing trade, and I did not go to my friend's birthday party because of the stupid trade. And I wasn't even in a big loss. It was like $100 loss, was nothing. But I was so invested in this trade that I disappointed my friend, and I made up some bullshit story about not feeling well. It's like, wow, what happened to me? I talk to a lot of traders, and it happens to a lot of traders. So when this is happening to you, Ray, and thank you for bringing that up because it's a really good topic. That is going back into time management because you start focusing into detail, right? So all you can see is this one thing. And what causes the trader not to take the loss? What causes the trader to put something else underneath the importance of trading? Because that is the definition of addictive behavior. When you put your family, your health, your day-to-day life secondary to something, may be gambling, may be. So I know a lot of people are addicted to their work. They work from 8 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock in the evening. That's an addiction, right? There's shopping addiction as well. There's so many different types of addictions. It's not only the obvious ones like drugs, like alcohol. There is all those underlying addictions as well. And I see that playing out in trading a lot. The traders are addicted. You get more irritable, exactly. Yeah. So fantastic. And I love that you have this self-awareness. That's where it starts, with self-awareness. And then when you have the self-awareness, then you can work your way out of this addictive behavior. Yeah.
And it's kind of making it a habit then that if you, let's say, watch the chart for this time and it's too long, then you start to leave and do something else and it becomes a habit. And the more you do it, the more you become the same thing you do all the time. So yeah, it's hard to start with, to like leave and not watch the chart. But once you do it, then it's really easy to do all the time after, I think.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's so true. When life goes easy and everything is fine, we all can be our best version. But when life gets tough and we still show up 100% and we still fulfill our promises, and we still do what we said we are going to do, even though we don't feel like it. You know, Etienne got up really early this morning to do the YouTube live, and I'm pretty sure after having been up till 2 o'clock in the morning, he would have preferred to sleep in, but he still, he made a promise, he was here. And, when life gets really tough, like, a loved one is sick, I have a friend, embrace the suck. You saw that video, right? How good was that? I have a friend, and he's got two kids that have autism, and not that they have like the tough version of autism, where they're not functioning at all, and they're little kids. So, and he still shows up, he still performs, and no one at work knows that he has these challenges, these problems. That's when you know who you truly are, and that's when you know you succeed no matter what. Yeah. When life is tough, when life is easy, we all can look good and be our best. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Finishing on a really positive note. Perfect. And guys, if you want to grab the link below, once again, we said it like 1,000 times, but grab the guide. It's totally free, and there's no pitching or anything after that. So I spent the whole night preparing this, and you're gonna get a lot of value, I'm sure. And yeah, that's it.
So maybe just for those of you who want to know how to take our work a little further, Etienne and I, we are running this training program called, what did you call it again, Etienne?
Full time for Trading Accelerator.
Exactly, Full-Time Forex Accelerator, where we work through with you how to build the foundation for your success, for your trading success to get to full-time trading. And it's all on the website. If you're interested, go to Etienne's website, desiretotrade.com, and somewhere there is a link, I suppose.
Yeah. Or just let me know
So,
by replying to the email you get with the guide, and I'll make sure to redirect you to the right place. No problem.
thank you so much for engaging, for playing with us, and that is, we love that. That brings out the best in us as well. And hopefully you got a lot of value from that.
Good.
Sorry, Modiki,